The Vanishing Hotel Room. In 1971, a young American couple, Daniel and Claire, embarked on a European road trip. They were traveling through France when their car broke down on a quiet rural road. With nightfall approaching, they were relieved to find a small, charming inn just outside a sleepy village. The hotel was quaint, almost old-fashioned, with antique furniture and a warm, welcoming atmosphere. The receptionist, an elderly woman, gave them a large brass key and led them to room 27 at the end of a long, dimly lit hallway. The room was simple but comfortable: floral wallpaper, heavy wooden furniture, and a tall window overlooking a vast moonlit field. Exhausted from their journey, the couple fell asleep quickly. When Daniel woke the next morning, Claire was still fast asleep. He kissed her forehead and went downstairs to find breakfast. The same elderly woman from the night before greeted him, and he asked for coffee. He tried to pay for the room in advance, but she waved him off, saying they could settle the bill when they checked out. Daniel returned to the room to find Claire still sleeping. He gently shook her shoulder, but she didn't move. Panic surged through him. Her body was cold. She wasn't breathing. He screamed for help, and the hotel staff rushed in. The elderly woman checked Claire's pulse, frowned, and then muttered something in French before backing away. An ambulance was called, and two solemn paramedics arrived. They spoke in hushed voices before one of them pulled Daniel aside. "Sir, there's something wrong. Your wife has been dead for at least a day." Daniel was dumbfounded. He had spoken to Claire just the night before, laughed with her, held her as they fell asleep. How could she have been dead for an entire day? The police arrived, questioning Daniel for hours. His story made no sense. How could he have not noticed? They eventually took him to the hospital for evaluation, assuming he was in shock. But when Daniel was finally released and returned to the hotel days later, something was terribly wrong. The inn was gone. In its place was nothing but an overgrown lot with the crumbling remains of what might have once been a building, but it had clearly been abandoned for decades. There was no sign of the charming hotel, no elderly woman, no room 27. And worst of all, no sign of Claire. Her body was never found. To this day, Daniel swears the hotel was real, swears Claire was with him that night, but no record of such an inn exists, and no one ever saw Claire again.